969 homes were active August the 1st. Then another 500 listed for a total of 1,469 homes on the market. Did you know that only 26% of those homes sold? Brenda, we haven't done an interview like in dog's ages.
I know, it's been a while. Thanks for having me over.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I think this is a really important topic, what we're talking about today, Sandra, because, you know, the COVID market is dead.
Ugh.
Like, forget it. Like, you and I have been in this business, you know, going on 20 years. But the only...
we were only 10 when we started.
We were young. Very, very young. But that's all people remember, don't you? Is that what you're sensing? Like, we both know the market's shifting. We're going to talk about that.
Yep. My issue in all of this, and I did a little Instagram story yesterday, is that everybody is going around with different stats. And you have some agents who are on the market, hey, homes are selling at 99% of asking price. They're not looking at the original price.
Yep.
Or you have, you know, 82% of the inventory is selling, and no one is looking at the real stats.
The real stats. I just want to throw one at you because I know you're going to give us the real stats here today. Is like what you often talk about with me is when people say the homes are selling for 99% of the list price. But how many times did they reduce it?
Well, yeah, and so right. Well, and correction, a price correction. But so they're not looking at, you know what? In order for the client to get that offer, the average price reduction was $46,000. Like, so no one is talking about that. They're just looking, okay, the house now is at 600. Now it's at, you know, 549, and it got an offer for 540.
Yeah.
So that really looks good. So you do a lot of sellers the same way I work with sellers. Talk to me about the expectations that they're having, you know, when you're sitting down to meet with them. Yeah.
Well, the first thing I tell sellers, Sandra, and the most important thing for them to know is the list price isn't real. The list price is not a real number. The list price is what you know how we give a range, like we'll say to somebody, you know, 529 to 549. Okay. That's a number that we're using based on stats that other buyers did in the market previous. The only number that's real is the number that a buyer puts on paper that they're willing to pay for a house. So our job as expert negotiators, our job is to get that price up. So when sellers say to me, especially if we've had to do a price correction, price adjustment, whatever we want to call it, and they'll say, oh, gee, Brenda, you know, I already dropped $20,000. No, you didn't, because the list price is something we were hoping for. The market value is what a buyer's willing to pay. Let's try and get that up, because this is just a number we've written down. It's not real.
We're talking about sellers' expectations. So I had a really big hurdle this year to get over. I met with a gentleman, and his house was assessed through, you know, the government at being $2 million. The homes that were around him that were selling, this was a waterfront property, they were at $2 million. And this gentleman had the house since the 1990s, not one bit of updating. And so the $2 million homes that were selling on the water, you know, granite countertops, custom bathrooms, stunning, beautiful homes. They had waterfrontage the same way he did. They all had boat homes. And the gentleman is seeing on paper, but my house is assessed at $2 million. So therefore, I should be getting more than that assessed value. And, you know, they just think that we're dumb agents, that we don't know any better. And I kept telling him, and he, or maybe I was just explaining it the wrong way, I don't know, but I could not make headway with this client that I feel that his home would only fetch between 800 and 1.1.
Yeah.
That was it.
That goes back to, well, there's two things there. Number one, the assessment, the city, as you and I know, the city's going to put the assessment as high as they can because they're collecting taxes on it.
Yeah, but I mean, his was capped. But when the next person comes in, they're going to be paying
But even
more.
his capped one. So, you know, I mean, I had a client this year that their house sold for under assessment because even her cap was over assessed. As soon as the buyer bought it, they went to the city and said, lower my taxes because here proves that house isn't where you had it. But that goes back to the list price isn't real. Or like what I said is the data we're looking at, That's historical. Those buyers were willing to pay this much money for these houses in this market. Okay, well, what was that market? Was it the COVID market? Was it a balanced market? What cycle was it in?
Yeah.
And that's where it comes down to making sellers understand that the market value is set by the buyers and what they're willing to pay. And with the kind of reports you and I do, which are insane, performance reports, we both analyze numbers like we're, because we put a lot of money and time into our marketing efforts. That's your background, that's my background. So we have to track what we're doing. It's like in my previous life, if I didn't sell enough pepperoni, we didn't pay the light bill. I always need to know what was going on in the market and what I thought I could sell, and constantly study the market. You and I are doing the same thing in real estate.
Yep. And I had another listing. One agent told him 1.8. And I'm like, I don't think I can get that for you. And the wife said, well, the husband's not going to sell it unless he gets 1.4. They bought the house a few years ago. It was like around 600. Nothing had been done. And I'm looking at this house. Well, nothing in this area has sold for 1.5 in 2 years. My headspace, I said, we can list it at 1.5. I have no problem with that, but be prepared that you're going to get offers around 800,000 and 900,000. How do you feel about that? Anyway, I didn't get the listing, but he did list for 1.5, and that agent is, I can't imagine the stress that they're going to be under, because the property will not sell.
It's not going to sell for that. And that's kind of like a twofold thing there. Number one, you and I know, the agents during COVID, they were popping up like Pop-Tarts out of a toaster, right? And between COVID and HGTV, they think this is an industry where it's just really easy and you run out and you do. You and I know the truth behind it. But the other thing is that, when people talk to me and they say, well, I want this or I'm not selling, that's when I sit them down and say to them, I completely understand where you're coming from. I'll give you a perfect story.
Yep, we have a lot of those stories. Okay,
so I knew this agent last year and I was selling my house, so I decided to list with her. Wonder who that was.
I don't know who that was.
And you and I both know, what did David say? I want $1 million.
Yep.
And you and I said the house worth $899. And by Jesus, I'll tell you, Sandra, my husband had to be the toughest client that I ever had to deal with, and he was your client, but I had to live with him. So I'm the one who had to listen to him every night. So, like I said to him, David, you can choose to accept, and I say this to my sellers with all respect and understanding, is that you can choose to accept what a buyer is willing to pay you to sell your house, or you can choose to not sell your house. It's up to them.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And so let's just go back to the market now.
Can I jump just back one second on my house?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
But she was a great realtor too.
Thank you. So remember, we did the first price adjustment, 25. We went down to 950.
Yep.
Okay. And then I want the house sold. I knew what the value was, and David was insisting, I just want to go down another 25. We adjusted the price to 899, where it should have started. How many days before we got an offer?
I can't remember. It's been a while.
It was like 70 days.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I know we're going to jump on to something else, but just one more thing sellers have to understand. I just had a client say to me the other day, how do you know I'm overpriced? I've had no showings. And I said, this is the digital age. So when people look at a house online, as I do, as an agent, and I see that it's higher than anything else that's sold in the neighborhood, either the seller, agent, or the seller himself believes his house is worth that. I know it's not. There's one right now just listed the other day, it's $50,000 over. I'm not showing it. We just flick right by it. It's the age of digital, and the buyers have access.
Absolutely, I agree. So let's just break down a little bit more of the market. There were 692 deals that were written in the month of August, and you had about 56% of that. They made it to home plate, which is great. Good for the agent, good for the seller. But you had about 15% of them that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I know in my book of business, I had to crack down on agents and the offers that I was getting, and I had to structure them differently.
Yeah.
and we can talk about that later, but what do you feel that, 15% of deals that are being written right, so that's 1 in every 7 deals, by the way.
So you're saying terminated is what you
Yep.
mean, not expiring, but terminated. So I think there's a couple reasons people terminate, but there's one that's really big. So the conditions are finance and inspection. So finance, you and I both require a finance letter.
Yep.
Right? We know as agents that no one's getting in our car. I mean, we, pretty much just do listings, but all the years of us doing buyers, nobody's getting in my car unless I know they're qualified. But that doesn't work with all people. They think because they got a verbal, oh, you should be good to go shop, they do. So you get the odd one on that. You get inspection. Something goes wrong, they find something that they're just not willing to fix or deal with or can't negotiate. But really, Sandra, one of the biggest ones that I'm finding, more so today than I did when I first started years ago, is buyer remorse. And buyer remorse can be masked in a lot of different ways. So I'll give you an example. I had one the other day where it was Clayton Park. And we all know what the non-corrode pipe was like. Like almost every house in Clayton Park. So the buyer's there doing the inspection. Now, when they put the offer in, they've only been in the house 20 minutes.
Oh,
They
wow.
do the inspection. How long are they in the house?
Couple hours.
Couple hours. They start really looking. They start opening cupboards, looking in closets, and they're thinking and thinking and thinking. And that's where a lot of buyer's remorse comes out as inspection. So they said, oh, your sewer line's gone. Fine, we'll fix it. Oh, there was a couple things here. Oh, it's just this and this, we'll fix it. They terminate it.
What I'm seeing on my end is, this is my synopsis of what's been going on in the market. So since COVID, we would have had about 700 agents who came to the market. Either never owned a home.
Was it that many?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Never owned a home.
Yeah.
Never been in sales.
Yeah.
And COVID really changed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Made them more recluse. So that means communication is down. With
Oh.
communication being down, that means there's little or no negotiation.
Yeah.
If something is happening during a home inspection, oh, we got to terminate. And they're not picking up the phone to call the other agent to get it over the line. Like we had an
Yeah.
offer in on one property, and we went back at full asking when they sent us their offer. Within minutes, I had a text from the agent. Sorry, no, thank you. I pick up the phone. What's it going to take to bring the buyer and the seller together? What are your buyers willing to pay? She gave me a number. I called my client back. Hey, are you willing
Yeah.
to accept this? Yeah, okay. And if you didn't pick up the phone,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have had the deal done. And I believe that, part in with home inspections, that there's always going to be idiosyncrasies about a house, but you can work through it. Like we had one guy, it was a bit of mold in the house. I'm like, that's only a $2,000 fix. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like you can just put a vent in your roof. So you said it to me one day on the phone. You ask sellers what sets you apart from other agents, and what is it?
Communication.
Yeah, you pick up the phone.
Well, and that's, I made a note on my paper about that too, is in this digital age, everyone just wants to text. Okay, you cannot make out the tone of a conversation over a text.
Nope.
How many times have you gotten a text and it's like, yes, and you think, oh, is that like, yes? Or is that like, yeah? Or, yes?
Oh,
Like,
I know.
I don't know, and again, you go back to spending 2-3 hours in a house, and if, like I had this one house for sale, and because feedback's brutal, as you know, trying to get feedback from other agents on the house. Right? So I've got this house for sale. It's had like 13, 14 showings, and I'm getting feedback. Yeah, not for them. No, don't think so. I always call those agents. Well, why? Can you explain this to me? And like you said, I can't get answers for some of them. They'll text me back, but they won't call me back. So I had an agent send back some feedback, and it was brutal feedback, but it was honest, and I appreciated it. That agent was an old school agent, and she just, Brenda, here's what we felt when we went in the house. The house is loaded with security cameras. That made them uncomfortable. They could smell the dog.
Yeah.
Like very much smell the dog. you know. But nobody else told me that. 13 showings before that.
Oh, wow.
Or returning calls. So like you said, communication, this lady here, now we've taken down the cameras.
Yep.
He watches his dog during the day because he's on 12-hour shifts. The cameras aren't there because he wants to spy on anyone. He watches his dog. It's not a big deal.
You know, you do have a lot of agents not giving feedback, so I don't do many buys.
I don't do
Maybe 4 or
buyers
5
either.
a year.
Yeah.
But I did one this week.
Yeah.
And buyers now are looking at 13.3 homes before making an offer. So I think I looked at 11 and I got to leave feedback.
Yeah.
So I would go to my client, while we're in the house, we go around together. And I don't necessarily give the buyer feedback, I give my feedback, what I think. And I explained to the buyers, I said, look, while we're in each house, I will be giving feedback to the agent or to the seller while we're here. So just, you know, that I'm doing that. So our tour is almost finished and I'm like, can you excuse me for a couple minutes? I want to do this. So I go in on because you're right, text is bad. I go in on my chat. Hey, can you make me sound really sweet and very appreciative of the home that I am right now? You know, thank the seller for allowing us to come through, but I do want to give the seller some pointers. And it came out really nice. It made me look like, you know, a little angel. And so I sent it, and I got a text back from the agent. Thank you so much. Your feedback was great. I really appreciate it. And that's all it takes. But now here we are on a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, remember, I was just going to say, years ago when you had to pick up the phone to give feedback, how many conversations did you have where you made an assumption about a home, but then when you spoke to the listing agent, you went, I didn't know that.
Yep.
You know?
Oh, I know. I get it. So how would you, with the deals that are falling and not a lot of the inventory that are selling, what advice would you give to a buyer agent?
Okay. Well, I have a team, you have a team. So we have a very set process that I teach my team for buyers, something that I started probably, we won't say how long ago. So I want to share the same vision as my buyers have. And the only way to do that is to really sit down and talk to your buyers. So number one, we both educate them on what's it cost to buy a home, what to do, what are the inspections, that's easy peasy. But really understanding that buyer. So we have a game we call 20 Questions with Brenda Kay. And those questions are designed for each aspect of their life. We basically follow the Ford: family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And we follow that. And I'm telling you, and then the last page of that form is the 5 must-haves. And I say to people, you may not get the 5, but we want to aim for maybe 3. Sometimes we get the 5. But that sheet, Sandra, when I did a lot of buyers, and I love buyers, you know, I've been very fortunate, built a good business as you have with listing, because like I said, marketing is my background. I can actually picture, I share their vision. I can walk in a house and I'm almost looking at the house through their eyes because of this 20 questions game. And the funniest part about the 20 questions is watching listen to what the husband says and the wife says. And we have a lot of fun with it. You really have to know your buyer. Get to know your buyer. Biggest thing I can tell you.
And you don't always have to agree with your buyer.
No.
It's okay to tell your buyer, no, I don't think so. You know, I would have, you know, my girlfriend there, the lawyer, she was telling me like some of the properties that people would have purchased during COVID because they didn't get any advice or the agent was afraid to say, no, I don't think it's a good deal. And, you know, we were out, again, being out with a buyer this week, and I'm listening to what they're saying. And, you know, we were looking at a condo in a single family home. And I said, you smoke. Do you really want to go downstairs in the rain when you want to have a smoke? You have a dog. You got to bring the dog out to go do its business. Is that something you're going to want to do? Like, so it's okay to ask. I mean, the questions aren't really that, but
those are the questions you need to ask.
Well, yeah, because you hear them like, okay, I smoke, or my family's going to be coming over. I'm going to need the extra parking space, and you because you don't want people to regret their decisions.
Yeah.
And I had another lady call me yesterday. She wants to buy a $1,000 property down in Cape Breton somewhere. She's going to use the listing agent. And I said, don't you dare. I go get your own buyer representative.
Yeah.
Because it's something at that price point, it's going to need a lot of work. And they're not
Yeah.
going to tell you what the work needs to be, especially if you're buying it sight unseen.
Yeah.
And she was shocked.
You know, really any price point, Sandra, because somebody that has a $350,000 budget, that's the most money they have in the world. So it's as important to them as what $1 million is to anybody else. So if we can't be, you know, upfront and honest with them and give, that's what our fiduciary duty to these buyers are. The listing agent has a duty of care to the seller.
Yeah.
They represent the seller. And even when they say, I'm going to treat you both fair, they know too much about the seller. Think about them. They know we are sellers. We know their financial information. We know everything about them. I think buyers are starting to really smarten up on that and say, I want my own representation.
Yeah, and so they should.
Yeah.
Especially if you're buying something sight unseen.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there to represent you.
No,
Right.
and I don't like the double end. I don't do it. I've had several occasions where I could do it. I just choose not to. You know how sweet I am. But I really can be a bulldog too, and I want to represent my seller. I don't want to tiptoe around anybody. I represent the seller.
Yeah, no, I get it. So here we are, beginning of September. Where do you see the market going?
We're shifting. So, as you know, every Monday I do the stats out there.
Yep.
So in November 2019, we had about 1,980 active listings on the market. We were sitting in a balanced market.
Yep.
Go into a buyer's market, you're over that 2,000 mark. So we were kind of sliding towards, a seller's market at that time, and then COVID turned it into the insane that it was. Because a seller's market, there's a seller's market and there's a COVID market. The COVID market was a frenzied market. Remember in 2011 when they announced the SHIP contract?
Oh yeah, it was like COVID.
Well, it wasn't. If you got 2 offers on a house and one was $5,000 over, you'd be like, yeehaw.
Giddy up, yep.
Yeah, but
The highest was 30,000, I think. Roy Thomas had that.
Yeah. It's just, but during COVID it was like 100,000 over. So we are shifting, and that's what both sellers and buyers have to understand. You said something I really, really liked, because we are still in a seller's market, which is 0 to 90 days. But you said right now buyers are out there like it's a buyer's market.
Right, no sense of urgency. I'll get to it when I get to it. And if it's not Cinderella, I'm gone.
That's exactly. And that's another thing you have to really sit down and do with your buyers, is set their expectations. If someone says to me, Brenda, I want a detached home, I'd like a garage for $550. Well, don't think you're going to get that in Cole Harbour. I got to take you out to Chesapeake for that. Porter's Lake.
I was shocked. Yes. So past week, let's say I'm in 13 homes or whatever it was, 11 homes. There was only one that was presented well. I went into homes where it smelled of mold. Another home, it was dirty. There was black mold in the shower.
Yeah.
The one home was vacant, so that doesn't count. Another one, you opened up the dishwasher, and it was just disgustingly gross. And then I went into another one, and it was so cluttered. And I'm like, who's your agent? Are they not telling you what you need to do to get your house sold?
So, I was taught this from someone that was really high up in the industry, and I'll never forget it. So, like I said, you and I, marketing background, communication background for many, many years. But most agents follow the 3 Ps of real estate when they're selling.
Yep.
They place the sign on the lawn, they place the house on MLS,
And then they pray.
and they pray another agent comes along and sells it.
Yep.
You see, what sets us apart, because you and I both do it the same way, we not only invest our time, we invest our money into a listing. We make sure it's presentable. We lead our clients. And that's the difference. And not saying we're the only ones that do that.
No,
but
no,
I'm just
there's
saying that
a lot of
there's-
good
yeah,
agents here.
Very good
Absolutely.
agents, yeah.
Well, I'm going to wrap up with that. I suppose you're going to come back again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know me,
Yeah,
I
I
love
have-
talking about the industry.
I know, then I got to bribe you for when I...
For when you move?
Yeah.
We'll just, have a nice dinner made and the guest bedroom done up. Some nice wine, red. Remember, it's
We'll get her
red.
done. We'll get her done.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Brenda, for joining us
You're
today.
very welcome. Thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun.